Yeah, so like on your side, when you're looking at Meta and you're deciding that it's cheap, is it kind of just like a, earnings per share or price to earnings ratio? Like what kind of like, I know it's so varied and so nuanced that like how to exactly know, but like, is it just kind of you're looking at the revenue and deciding, damn, that thing is just making so much money and
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
what is your,
no matter what you're doing in finance, you're always sort of comparing the company's earnings and earnings potential to its price, and you're trying to sort of divine some idea as to whether or not that's, so to speak, cheap or not cheap. But the reality is that you're also trying to time the market, which is very, very, very difficult. And I can't say I'm that bad at that, because every time I say I'm bad at it, I end up with another decent trade. But I think it's hard to be very good at that. Very few people are that perfect at doing that, I've found. And to me, the easier thing is to find whether or not that stock is so-called cheap or not cheap, and then just sort of wait. And I think for Meta, I think the stock is, to me, undeniably cheap, but the waiting part is the hard part. And you can look bad as you wait, right? And as like, okay, I'm waiting, but the stock keeps going down, or I'm waiting and the stock's not going up, and I'm waiting 2 years or 3 years, and the stock finally goes up, and nobody gives you credit for the investment. Now, thankfully, in investing, you don't need credit; you just need success, gains. And so I think that for me, that's all I'm looking for, and I think Meta over the next 2 or 3 years will go up a lot. It's just a question of when and by how much and all that stuff. But ultimately, I do think Meta will be a solid sort of double. I don't think it'll be a 10x or something. Maybe if Mark gets the metaverse thing exactly right, which doesn't look likely. It looks like if his metaverse vision will succeed at all, it probably won't be a world-changing success. Although I wouldn't count him out, right? I mean, Mark Zuckerberg is somebody that I would definitely never count out. So we'll see how his Horizon product rolls out and launches. That's sort of the big bet, is this Horizon online metaverse. We'll see how that shakes out. Oculus is obviously kind of another sub bet. I certainly would never count him out, but I also would say that it does not look like it's getting off to a good start, and that means that it's unlikely to be that successful and probably will get terminated in a couple of years, and the Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp business will still be there and still be pretty successful. So it's really not a terrible bet for him to make, to bet 10 or 20 or $50 billion on this, and if he's wrong, he's wrong, and the other businesses will still be there. So it's not like there'll be like some really disastrous consequence. It's to me really smart to want to sort of put yourself out of business. I think that's exactly what I'd be doing if I were him. I'd have this dominant position in social media advertising, virtually unchallenged, other than maybe by TikTok. That's the first thing I'd be trying to do, is find a way to sort of make a better version of my own best product. I mean, I have a category-killing product. The only thing that could stop me is something from left field. So I would try to make something from left field, and that's what he's doing. And if it doesn't succeed, he's at least foreclosed an avenue, right, that other companies now can't go down. So there's something really smart about that, as he's investigated this opportunity of kind of creating this crazy metaverse. And if it doesn't work, at least he proved it doesn't work, and not Apple proved it doesn't work, right? You don't want Apple to try this. You want Facebook to try it. You want Facebook to kill Facebook. If it's possible to kill Facebook, you want to do it from inside, not from some other company doing it. So I think it's really a brilliant strategy defensively and offensively. And Zuckerberg.
Yeah, he has John Carmack at Oculus, and a lot of the AR stuff actually looks really cool.
Yeah, Carmack's just consultant now, but ultimately, he came with Palmer and that acquisition. But ultimately, I think regardless, there's a lot of smart people at Meta, and Carmack's certainly as good as it gets with advice. But I think I like the Oculus product. I mean, certainly, I was one of the first users of it. I tried to invest in the company when it was first starting. You know, I don't think the world is as ready for AR VR as we kind of think it is. But you know, it is getting there, and we'll see.
I think the biggest thing is they just need to get units out. But I'm just thinking it's expensive. How can they like get the cost down and still keep the quality?
It's a units game, and it's a evangelism game, and it's very hard. You know, I mean, it's a unique experience. It's a life-changing experience to try one of these machines, but it's also kind of one of these things that it's hard to evangelize. I mean, I tell everybody I know, man, you really got to try this. And I'm still on the first Oculus SDK from a long time ago. I still have to nag my brother to bring me the latest version. Maybe I'll just order it.
Microsoft is working on AR as well for the military, right? They have a fat contract.
They were a pioneer in this, and a lot of people forget that HoloLens is their flagship product. It's just an enterprise product, and it's smart for them to sort of tackle this a different way. They're going to go from the enterprise and work their way down. Oculus is starting all the way down. I'm not sure they're trying to work their way up, but they're sort of forcing themselves to have this higher end product. So it's really tricky, and I think obviously Apple is probably going to do something as well. So once more and more players get involved, it'll take over. It actually reminds me of the TNF alpha market in pharma, where Remicade was the first TNF alpha, and Remicade by itself did not change the practice of medicine. It took Enbrel and Humira, which you would think are competitors to Remicade because they work the exact same way, and they are competitors. But the market had to go from 1% penetration of autoimmune disease to 90% penetration of autoimmune disease. And Remicade, made by Johnson & Johnson, they couldn't do it themselves. They had to have 3 companies all beating that same drum. Then every rheumatologist, dermatologist, etc. said, okay, now I get it. We have to use TNF-alpha inhibitors. If it was just Johnson & Johnson, it wouldn't have worked. So I actually think the best thing for Facebook is Apple. The best thing for Facebook is Microsoft. And everybody's saying, let's do VR. Because it's not going to be a big enough, it's not going to, if it really works, VR will be big enough for 3 companies. It'll be big enough for 5 companies. Not one company has to win. The whole sector has to win. The whole sector has to survive. Like, it's not going to just be Facebook owning it all. You know, it's going to be, we're all use all these different visors. And HTC has one, Steam has one, so it's not like there's a lack of competition. It's just a lack of usage. I think somebody said it's all about the units.
Yeah, Apple's getting involved, and Meta is just trying to like reduce the headset size as much as possible. So they're trying to get it to be like a pair of glasses.
Yeah, and it'd be neat if they can get it there. I mean, I think, you know, eventually I'm sure it will get there, but it's it's a hell of a technology. The other problem though is it's a technology still looking for use. There aren't a lot of uses for it other than it's really cool.
Like walk into a restaurant and see the menu instantly. If you got the glasses on.
It's a bit silly, you know. That's, you know, not a killer app. You know, that's not going to change the world's productivity curve. You know what I mean? It's like, meh. Now meetings are pretty good, sporting events, things like that, but they're still not quite, you know, that killer of a killer app. Like, it's not something you could never do before.
That's true.
You know,
it'd be cool. Like we could actually have this kind of in person. You know.
Yeah, but you know, there's only like one of the things about these meetings online and stuff like that is that we're kind of like half here and half not, and that's to some extent that is there's something valuable about that. We don't always want to be intimate with people and shared with people. We don't always want to feel that we're in the same room with somebody. It's
yeah, I'm scratching my ass right now. You know?
Right, exactly. So I think that, yeah, sure, for people that want to be present with somebody, it is going to be a big game changer because you will feel present. If you want to be present, you can't be present.